I'm CJ with Starter Builds, and today I'm going to show you how I built this really cool DIY gate on Starter Builds. What is up YouTube, CJ here with Starter Builds. We are back in the shop, and today we're going to be building a DIY baby gate. My son is officially 9 months old, so as of this month he's been crawling around, almost ready to walk, so we got to start baby proofing the house as well as getting the gate set up too as well. For today's project we're going to be using this painted MDF. You can find this at your local big box store. This is a 1x4. And then we also have the 1x2. So similar to how I built the front of Zane's crib, that's how we're going to be making this gate today. And then I'm going to probably 3D print some of the hardware that we can use.
Here's the before. Obviously there's no gate here just yet, but this is leading up to a few bedrooms upstairs. So we're going to start out by showing you the before. Then we'll go around the way here into the kitchen. This is actually leading to our basement as well as to the outside. So stay tuned for the build. I started out on the miter saw by cutting down those 1x4s. I wanted to have a square edge before taking my actual measurement for this. So that's what you're seeing me do here. And then it's as simple as taking your measurement, marking your line, and cutting it with the miter saw. Now it's as simple as rinsing and repeating. So once you've cut your first board, you can use that as a template to make sure you have the same measurements across your gate. So here I'm just lining up my first cut as a template, removing that, and then I'm going to go ahead and make my second cut here on the miter saw.
We got our sides, two sides. We're going to cut the cross pieces next, and then the 1x2s will go in between. Make sure you measure accordingly. Every way you do this is going to be a little bit different, but pretty straightforward. We've just created a square.
Switching gears into the assembly here, we're going to be using pocket holes to assemble this. Super DIY friendly. If you don't own a pocket hole jig, I highly recommend it. This is a great starter way for joinery, but we're going to be using 1 1/4 pocket holes, 1 1/4 pocket hole screws, and some wood glue to attach everything together. One thing to note here is you always want to have a carpenter square close by to make sure everything's square. I'll tell you what, these Craig clamps make it super easy to attach everything together. I used to struggle a lot to attach pocket holes and keep them flush and square. I'll have these clamps linked down below if you want to check them out, but they've really helped me a lot in keeping everything flush, everything square, and everything tight. Once you have your first one done, we're going to repeat that same process to complete our second one. Again, we're using 1 1/4 pocket holes, 1 1/4 pocket hole screws. We have our Craig clamps to ensure everything is square and tight, and then we're using that carpenter square to ensure each angle is correct and square.
Big mistake. Somehow I got my frame measurements mixed up and I cut my 1x2s too short. So yeah, that's just a lesson from me. Make sure you measure twice and cut once. But luckily we bought some extra material, so we'll be able to finish this project. There you have it. We got our 2 frames, or gates, gate frames, whatever you want to call it. Now we're going to start cutting our 1x2s.
To attach the vertical slats, you guessed it, we're using pocket holes. We're using the same method that we used for the outer frame. We're using that for the vertical slats here. Wood glue, 1 1/4 pocket holes, 1 1/4 pocket hole screws. For the spacing, there's no scientific method here. I really just eyeballed it and really just kind of saw what worked best for how I thought the spacing would be. So feel free to use my eyeball method or go ahead and space them out accordingly based on your measurements, but I think it turned out great.
All right, we officially have gate number 1 done. I'm actually in the process of 3D printing a latch, and then I'll just have to get some hardware to attach to the wall. Onward to the second one here. We're gonna start cutting the 1x2s to the correct size because obviously we made a big boo-boo, so live and you learn.
I recently got into 3D printing, and by no means am I a pro at this. I'm very beginner, but this Bamboo Labs A1 printer has been phenomenal for all different types of things around the house, the shop, as well as any broken kind of pieces. So I've built a ton of different things on this 3D printer, and I'm super impressed with how it's working.
All right, we're back in the shop. We're slowly getting this DIY baby gate project complete. I'm going to be putting in these Craig plugs, just a little bit of glue and sanding, and then we'll paint the other side, and we'll get these attached to the doorways. Stay tuned.
Plugging these pocket holes is super optional. I typically don't. I try to hide them on most of my projects, but I figured since this was going to be exposed to one of the walkways, once I installed this, I figured I'd go ahead and give it a try here. Make sure when you buy lumber from anywhere, you scrape off the tags or sand those off. There's been a couple times where I finished projects and the barcode's still on there. So funny enough, I scraped that off. We'll apply a little bit of wood glue into these, fill these in with these actual plugs.
Right, as for the hardware for this baby gate, I went to the big box store and I got this gate hardware. I got 4 of those, so one for the top, one for the bottom, which I'll showcase here. And then I 3D printed this latch. I thought this was a pretty unique one. It just slides back and forth like this. So that will actually be the locking mechanism. And that just takes 6 screws. These took about 2 hours to print, 2.5 hours to print on the Bamboo Labs A1 with the AMS. So I'm super pumped how those turned out. And then these, pretty straightforward. We'll attach this to our baseboard trim and this will be how it operates.
To attach this to the actual frame, I mean, it's pretty DIY friendly. I stuck a 2x4 underneath the gate to put it at the desired height, and then I just pre-drilled my holes. The hardware came with screws, and I just attached that to my door trim to the actual gate, and then again, I 3D printed that latch or lock, whatever you want to call it. One thing I will mention here is if you did end up wanting to find another person to help you, it probably would make this process a lot easier. That's why I use this 2x4 underneath to kind of help me out here. But again, super DIY friendly to make these gates, super easy to get them attached to your door frame, as well as if you're at the big box store or your local hardware store, you can always find a latch. You don't have to 3D print one.
So there you have it, the final DIY baby gate. Super DIY friendly, super strong. I'm super pumped with the fact that I 3D printed this. Just to give you a look, this was printed on my Bamboo Labs A1 Mini. Super DIY friendly. And here we have the other one. That's it. Thanks so much for viewing. If you felt like I earned it, be sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. Thanks for watching.